The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors. Hi, this is Valerie Shivers, the host of Will You Trust Me, airing Saturday mornings at 11:30 a.m. We are estate planning and elder law attorneys focused on asset protection. We have offices in Sayville and in Garden City and can be reached at 631-569-4334 or on the web at shiverslg.com. Today I have a treat. I'm here with Gabrielle, another attorney in my office.
Thank you for having me again, Valerie.
Thanks for coming in. I wanted to have you in today because I thought it would be nice for people listening in to hear kind of situations that have occurred in the office. And honestly, I wanted to get your take. We had somebody come in the other day who, was looking for, actually, oddly enough, the meeting stated that the person was looking for estate planning. So I went into this consultation thinking that we were going to be just doing either a will or a trust or some sort of simple estate plan for the client. And when I met with them and asked them what they were looking to do, they explained to me that their dad was in a nursing home and had been there for a couple months.
Okay.
And they had about $45,000 left in total assets and no other assets. So no home. It was really just a bank account with $45,000. Okay. And they had spent down their assets, and they came to us because they were looking to plan, in essence, but they were looking to ensure that once they were below $30,000, they could qualify and apply for Medicaid.
So they were just spending down their assets.
So they were just spending down their assets month after month. I believe the nursing home was costing them about $15,000 a month.
Wow.
So they were told, or perhaps they read somewhere, that they had to have less than $30,000 in order to qualify for Medicaid. Very true statement. But they did not know that they could have done planning to protect those assets as opposed to spending those assets down. And I don't know about you, but when I'm with clients, a lot of times they will ask me that question. They'll say, well, don't I need to spend down my assets?
Yeah.
And the answer is to some degree, yes. Yeah. But, what people don't realize is the planning that we can do for them
to protect those assets rather than
force the spend. So, in this particular case, I said, well, did anyone tell you that you could have done some planning? You could have met with an attorney, and they said, no, we were working with an agency, and the agency told us they would apply for Medicaid. And really, the real reason they came to us is because they had engaged this, Medicaid agency to apply for them when they were eligible. And they kept being told by this agency that they had applied. They were just waiting to hear back from Medicaid.
And did they find this agency through the facility? Did the facility recommend them?
So that's unclear, to be honest with you. I don't know, but these agencies that I'm talking about. There are agencies that will handle Medicaid applications out there, and then there are attorneys who will handle Medicaid applications, and the agencies will do so at a reduced rate, but they're also not qualified to create trusts and protect client assets. So in this particular instance, this agency wasn't doing anything because they can't, right? They can't apply until they have less than $30,000, hence where they're getting their information. But had they come to us, we could have protected probably everything that they spent on the nursing home up until that point. We could have protected half of their assets, because they hadn't done any prior planning, had they met with us before spending down their assets. So
how long were they at the agency? The facility, if they were paying about $15,000 a month?
So they've been there for a few months. My guess is they probably spent between $50,000 and $60,000.
Okay.
I told them to stop spending. I said at this point, let's they hadn't paid for the past 2 months. So I told them, prepay a funeral. That way, at least they can spend some of those assets on something that they're going to benefit from, you know, someday when their father passes away, and we'll be able to preserve some of those assets, right? So it's kind of a best case scenario. I explained technically if they prepay that funeral, they're Medicaid eligible already. We can apply and get retroactive payment, and at least preserve something.
Yeah, of
course.
Know?
I mean, it's hard. I know that we talk all the time about the importance of planning ahead, what you can do to protect your assets when you're healthy and on the younger spectrum. But the reality is people don't understand that if they haven't done that planning, if they come in to see us, and if they have a loved one who's in the hospital and they're dealing with, discharge plans, or they're dealing with the billing coordinator, whether it be in a hospital or in rehab, it's a lot of information that's being thrown at them.
It's very overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming. And that's where we come in. And the reality is, we pride ourselves on protecting client assets. That's the best part of what we do on a daily basis, right?
Yeah.
We are able to genuinely help our clients every single day. So it's frustrating to me when I meet with someone who was given misinformation or just is not educated on Medicaid and the planning and all of the ins and outs, because we could have done something for them. And that's frustrating.
Of course. And when they hear that they need to be at a $30,000 level to be eligible, they think that they need to spend down that money, not knowing that we could protect them. Right.
That A, they can protect some of those assets, and B, they can spend down those funds in a way that's going to benefit them.
Yeah.
Prepaying funerals. There are a lot of other ways that maybe putting some money into a home, if there is a home, there are a lot of other ways to benefit the client as opposed to kind of just throwing money out the window. So if you're listening in, I would say if you have a loved one who is in the hospital or who is in a rehab facility, the moment that your loved one sets foot into the hospital or into a rehab facility, give us a call, because that's when the clock starts ticking.
It does.
And that's really when we can benefit you the most, right?
Yeah.
It's enough that you have to deal with the health and welfare of a loved one going through something, right? That's where your focus should lie. And when it comes to working with agencies who are not attorneys, who do not have the ability to create the trusts and the vehicles and the foresight and the knowledge of what A is legal, because clients will ask me that all the time when we discuss the planning. Well, is it legal for us to transfer assets? Is everything we do is legal?
Of course.
I can't say the same for on the outside of a law firm, but definitely anything that we're recommending and advising you do is 100% legal. To have that comfort in knowing I'm just going to hand this off to an attorney who's going to tell me exactly what I need to do on the financial end, who is going to protect assets, because that's probably what your loved one wanted, right? Mm-hmm. There's no way that mom or dad or an aunt or an uncle worked their whole lives and accumulated wealth to spend it in a nursing home.
Of course.
And the fact of the matter is we can do so much to help you. And that's what we're here to do. So if you find yourself in that situation, I definitely encourage you to give us a call. If you're pre-planning, fantastic. That's really the best case scenario, right? If you're
Absolutely.
In your 60s, if you're in your 70s, if you're in your 80s, we see clients of all ages. There really is no bad time to do pre-planning. And if you haven't done that pre-planning and you have a family member who finds themselves in a nursing home, in the hospital, let us act as the liaison for you and help you navigate the financial end of it all. I don't know how many times clients will ask you, right? we don't know where mom or dad is going next. What do we do? How do we decide if they're going into a nursing home or coming home?
Yeah, all the time.
Right? I mean, and that's something that we are helping our clients with also. We're here to help on the financial end. We're here to help on the legal end. We're here to advise you. We want you to be able to bounce ideas off of us and feel comfortable in knowing that really all you should have to focus on is the health of your loved one.
Of course.
So again, this is Valerie Shivers and Gabrielle Popielarski. We're going to take a break. We will be right back. We can be reached at 631-569-4334 or on the web at shiverslg.com. Hi, this is Valerie Shivers, the host of Will You Trust Me, airing Saturday mornings at 11:30 a.m. We are estate planning and elder law attorneys focused on asset protection. We have offices in Sayville and in Garden City and can be reached at 631-569-4334 or on the web at shiverslg.com. Before the break, Gabrielle and I were talking a little bit about a client situation that we had last week in the office, as far as a client who had a loved one who was in a nursing home and had come to us looking for a Medicaid application, assistance with the Medicaid application. And they told us that they had been private paying and spending down their assets in order to qualify themselves for Medicaid. So they were almost doing their own planning, in essence, right? With the information that they had.
That they were provided, yeah.
And none of it was wrong or false information, but the planning aspect behind it was, kind of going awry.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we see that all too often. I would say, with clients, they have a little bit of information, what they gather on the web, what they speak to with their friends, out to lunch, they get information, and a little bit of information, in my opinion, is dangerous.
It is.
Let me ask you this question. If you were looking to go through a divorce, and you're not married, Gabrielle, so this is a fair question. If you wanted a divorce, who would be the first person that you would speak with about
a divorce attorney?
A divorce attorney.
I would not be going to you, Valerie. I love you very much, and I trust you, but not in that way. We're not expertise in that. That's not what we specialize in.
Exactly. And if you, again, had a run-in with the law and you needed representation, who would you be speaking with?
Not you again, Valerie.
A criminal attorney.
Yeah.
These are things that, when you're dealing with a situation, especially one with such magnitude and so many effects or after effects, you should be speaking with someone who specializes in that area of law. And look, the same thing goes for travel. I want to go on a vacation around Europe. I'm going to call a travel agent. Maybe I'll do a little bit of research on my own. But ultimately, if I'm traveling to a place I've never been, I'm probably going to bring in a professional to kind of tie up those loose ends. It's interesting to me when we meet with these clients and they tell me that they have prepared a will off of the internet and they just need someone to notarize it, or they tried to do a Medicaid application and they fell short and they got frustrated, and that's why they're coming into the office. Our job is to make sure that all of those loose ends are tied up and that everything is done the way that you want it, done efficiently, done effectively, and in the absolute best way possible. I don't know if you can think of any. I mean, unfortunately, this situation that we did speak about with a nursing home, that's in my mind somewhat of a tragedy, because here we have this client who started out with $100,000, who spent $55,000 at this point in a nursing home, and now they're seeking our advice, right?
And just a few months also.
Exactly. Just a few. I mean, maybe we're talking about 4 months,
yeah.
Right? And now they're coming to us, not only because they know it's time to apply for Medicaid, but because they engaged with an agency who said that they could handle it for them.
Yeah.
Not a law firm, but an agency. So similar to pulling your will off of the internet, or pulling a power of attorney off the internet, or even, to be honest with you, working with those legal websites that aren't actually attorneys.
LegalZoom.
Yep. It's dangerous, because how many times do you meet with a client and review the documents and realize that they're just totally inefficient?
All the time, especially power of attorneys.
Power of attorneys. Power of attorneys are state specific, and when you're getting something off of the internet, you may not necessarily be pulling your state's legal document. Mm-hmm. I had somebody bring me a power of attorney who felt that they had pulled it off the internet and said that it was a New York State power of attorney, and it was not. In fact, along with that, they had a healthcare proxy, and the healthcare proxy was called a power of attorney for health.
Oh.
And there's no such thing in New York.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, because there's just so much information out there.
And even if they do have the New York State power of attorney, they don't know exactly where they need to be signing, initialing, what is important on that document.
It's true. I mean, specifically talking about the power of attorney, right? Everyone knows that it should be durable. A lot of people don't know what that means, but the durability is the fact that if you lost or lacked mental capacity, the power of attorney would still be in effect. And many times clients will say, wait a second, I'm signing a power of attorney and I'm giving my agent the ability to act now. I don't want them to be able to act now. And, it's important, because a power of attorney is really like a contractual agreement where you're authorizing someone to act on your behalf, but they in turn are agreeing to act in your best interests.
Which is the most important thing that we stress to our clients, that it has to be in their best interest.
And also that it has to follow testamentary intent, right? If I name you my power of attorney, but I have multiple beneficiaries, you as power of attorney don't have the authority to just go in and change all of my beneficiaries to just you.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of safeguards in there that, that we can discuss at a consultation to ensure that when you're creating your power of attorney, no one's going to have the ability to abuse that power that you've given them. And, interestingly enough, prior to the law changes, and I believe June of 2021, that's when the laws for power of attorney changed. And prior to that, when you gave someone the ability to act as your power of attorney, they could do just that, right? Mm-hmm. If they wanted to go to your bank and withdraw $200,000 from your savings account and go on a vacation and disappear, right? They could do that. You gave them the power to do that.
Yeah.
So if you are concerned about these things, again, if you pull a power of attorney off the internet, you might be giving someone the ability to just do whatever they want, Yeah,
not knowing whether it's the updated version or not.
Yeah, and I think that our office prides themselves on protecting clients, making sure that you have a really good understanding of your legal documents. In fact, we encourage clients to come into our office on a regular basis. We have a program that we're just rolling out that will allow clients to consistently come into the office, call with questions. We really want to be a resource to you. If you purchase real estate or you're thinking about selling a home and it's in the trust, we want to be able to answer these questions quickly and efficiently for you. We want you to just be able to pick up the phone, reach any one of our attorneys, get a quick answer, and feel confident in, any move you make.
Any move. Any move. Especially when you're young. If you're planning when you're young, it's not a one and done deal. You're most likely going to need to come back and make changes, etc.
Sure. Your estate plan really needs to grow with you.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, what would you say on average, how often should someone come into the office? How often should you meet with your estate planning attorney?
I think it depends on your life. I think when there's major changes, I think every few years, especially just for power of attorney, for really anything.
Yeah. I mean, we have clients, I would say, who come in on an annual basis, sometimes more. But I think, as Gabrielle said, really the most effective estate plan review is anytime there's a major life event, right? If
you get married, you purchase real estate, you have a child.
Exactly. You accumulate a mass of wealth.
Yeah.
You enter into some business ventures. You have some family situation. Perhaps you were getting along with your children when you first established your will or your trust or your estate plan, and now that's no longer the case, or vice versa. I've seen a lot of clients who will tell me, I want this person completely cut out of all of my legal documents, and then wonderfully, years later, they call us and say, we've mended fences and I want to include them, or I have grandchildren. And then at a minimum, I would say really 3 to 5 years, we like to see you in the office, because every 3 to 5 years, I think there's definitely a gauge.
There's
and
definitely some
life.
Change, yeah.
So again, this is Gabrielle Popielarski. I always say it wrong. I apologize.
Thank you for having me, Valerie.
Thanks for being here. And Valerie Shivers, we can be reached at 631-569-4334 or on the web at shiverslg.com. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.